Have you ever stopped to think about how small details in your appearance could be sabotaging your professional image? Look, after 40, I realized that certain wardrobe mistakes I had been making for years were making me look less prepared and even less successful than I really am. Throughout these years of experience, I identified 6 mistakes that we mature men make without even realizing it. And I'll tell you something, mistake 5 is something that most guys our age do, thinking they're getting it right, when in reality they're aging their look by at least 10 years. Let's be honest. First impressions happen in seconds, and I learned this after losing opportunities that could have been mine. But the good side is that these are simple adjustments that make all the difference. So let's go, because today I'm going to share what I discovered after decades of getting it right and wrong. Mistake 1. Polo shirt with large strips. That striped polo you have in your closet and think works for any occasion. Well, it might be hurting you more than helping you. Polos with very wide and colorful stripes draw attention to the wrong parts of the body. They create a visual effect that widens the silhouette, especially if, like me, you no longer have the metabolism of your 20s. Furthermore, these large stripes give an air of excessive casualness even in models from good brands. It's as if you're always ready for a Sunday barbecue and not for an important meeting. What works better? Polos in solid colors, preferably in neutral tones like navy blue, gray, black, or dark green. If you like patterns, opt for thin and discreet stripes. The difference is impressive, and I've tested this in various professional situations. A tip that transformed my wardrobe: invest in quality fabrics. A polo made of Pima cotton or with a bit of elastane maintains its shape and doesn't get that overwashed look after a few months. And you know what's interesting? A recent study showed that men dressed in more sober pieces are perceived as more trustworthy in corporate environments. It's no wonder that great leaders like Steve Jobs adopted a minimalist personal uniform. Before we move on to the next mistake, if this content is making sense to you, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. I regularly share tips I learned in the corporate world that changed how I'm perceived professionally. Mistake 2. Plastic sports watch with formal WAR. Let's talk about a mistake I myself made for years. That plastic or rubber sports watch you wear for everything, including with a suit or formal wear, seems harmless, right? But it's one of the details that scream amateur to anyone who understands style. The problem isn't the watch itself. I have one I use for running and it's excellent. The issue is the context. When you combine a clearly sporty accessory with formal clothing, you create a visual dissonance that breaks all the harmony of your look. Think of this as if you were wearing running shoes with a suit. No matter how expensive the suit is, the shoes will drag the entire look down. The solution is simple and doesn't need to be expensive. Invest in at least one watch with a leather or metal band for more formal occasions. It doesn't need to be a Rolex. There are excellent options from brands like Seiko, Orient, or even Timex that fulfill the role well without requiring a high investment. I've noticed several times in meetings how men who understand this basic rule subtly stand out. It's one of those details that few notice consciously, but that compose the overall image of a man who understands style and cares about details. And believe me, at our age, it's the details that make the difference. Are these tips I'm sharing in this video being useful to you? Show your support with a like. Your interaction allows this content to reach other incredible people like you. Mistake 3. Pieces that are too low. After 40, many of us fall into the trap of clothes that are too loose, whether because we gained a few pounds or because, unconsciously, we think that baggy clothes will disguise the passage of time. I'll tell you something I learned after many mistakes. Excessively loose clothes don't disguise anything at all. On the contrary, they make you look heavier and less careful with your appearance. Pants that form folds at the ankle, shirts that look like sails in the wind, blazers with drooping shoulders. All of this creates an image of carelessness that, let's face it, doesn't match a man of our experience. The key here isn't to wear tight clothes, we'll talk about this mistake in a moment, but rather pieces with the correct fit. Pants should sit cleanly over the shoe, without excess fabric. A shirt should follow the body's lines without squeezing, and a jacket sleeve should end exactly at the wrist joint, a tactic that works for me. Take your main pieces to a tailor for small adjustments. The cost is low compared to the benefit. A $150 adjusted shirt looks much more expensive than a $500 one with a bad fit, and you've gone through the phase of wearing everything loose thinking you were disguising something. Comment below about your experience. I bet I'm not the only one who has made this mistake. Mistake for shirts with SOFTOR, crooked COLOs. Now, let's talk about a subtle detail, but one that screams careless to anyone who sees it. Shirts with soft, twisted, or flying collars. A shirt's collar is like a picture frame. It frames your face, which is the focal point in any interaction. A soft, deformed collar or one that doesn't sit correctly distracts and gives the impression of carelessness, even if the rest of your look is impeccable. I've been in situations where I realized, too late, that my collar was folded or wrinkled during an important presentation. It's that type of detail that, once noticed, we can't stop thinking about how to solve it. First, invest in shirts with quality interfacing in the collar. Very cheap shirts save money precisely on these invisible details, which make all the difference in durability. Second, consider using collar stays. Those small rods that fit into special pockets on the inside of the collar, they maintain its shape perfectly and can be transferred from one shirt to another. Finally, learn to store your shirts correctly. Hang them on quality hangers and, if possible, button the collar to maintain the shape. If you've been following along so far, you've already noticed that I'm not talking about spending fortunes on new clothes, but rather taking better care of what you already have. These tips are the result of years of observation and learning, often the hard way. If they're being useful to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive more content like this. Mistake 5. Clothes that are too tight, and we arrive at the mistake. I promised at the beginning, the one that many men make thinking they're getting it right, wearing excessively tight or fitted clothes, perhaps influenced by young models or social media fashion. Many men over 40 fall into the trap of thinking that very tight clothes make them look younger or more in shape. The truth, the effect is exactly the opposite. Shirts that stretch at the buttons, pants where the fabric is tense on the thighs, jackets that form an X when buttoned. All of this is not only uncomfortable but creates an image of someone who doesn't accept their current phase or doesn't understand how to dress appropriately. I'll share something personal. A few years ago, after losing some weight, I started buying tighter clothes. I thought I had a modern look, until I saw some photos and realized I looked like I was wearing my son's clothes. It was a moment of clarity. The secret is in balance. Your clothes should follow the body's natural silhouette, with enough space for comfortable movement. A good rule: you should be able to pinch between 2.5 to 5 centimeters of fabric on the side of a well-fitted shirt. And remember, our goal isn't to look younger, but rather to be the best version of ourselves at our current age. Have you made this mistake? Have you bought something too tight thinking you were modernizing your look? Share your experience in the comments. I firmly believe we learn not only from our mistakes, but also from others. Mistake 6. Glasses with mirrored or colored lenses. Finally, we arrive at the last item on our list: sunglasses with mirrored or brightly colored lenses. Look, I'm not saying you need to throw away those colorful sports glasses you use for fishing or cycling on weekends. The problem arises when this same model becomes your wild card for all occasions. Glasses with mirrored blue, red, or yellow lenses may have their place in specific activities, but in more formal, professional, or social contexts, they can give the image of someone who is trying to draw attention in the wrong way. After 40, what communicates confidence and maturity are the classics. A good pair of dark glasses with quality frames and lenses in neutral tones, black, dark gray, or brown, complements any look and never goes out of style. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in the world, has a phrase that applies perfectly here. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Invest in a good pair of classic glasses, even if it costs a bit more. The durability and versatility will compensate for the initial investment. And a practical tip: choose a frame that complements your face shape. If you're not sure, ask for opinions at different optical shops or take a friend with good aesthetic sense. And so we reach the end of our list of 6 mistakes that may be compromising your image. As a mature and successful man, notice that we didn't talk about passing trends or spending fortunes. We talked about classic style principles that work for men of our age and position. Implementing these changes may seem like a small detail, but I guarantee, from my own experience, that the sum of these adjustments completely transforms the way you are perceived, whether in business meetings, social events, or even in daily life. If this content was useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive more tips like these. In the next video, I'll talk about the 5 essential items that every man over 40 should have in his wardrobe, regardless of his personal style or profession. And tell me in the comments, which of these mistakes have you made or still made? What was the most surprising tip for you? Your participation is fundamental for us to continue this conversation between men who seek to always improve. If you made it this far, it's because you take improving your style seriously. So I prepared this next video for you to watch. It's the perfect step for you to continue evolving. And take a look at this playlist too. It has a complete map for dressing like a true gentleman over 40, stylish, elegant, and powerful every day. Until the next video.